got the Aired Out podcast from Fly on the Wall Productions right here live. North Main Street, Barrie, where it is so frosty this morning and, negative 13 at my house. And I'm just trying to figure out how to stay warm. Yesterday was such a big baby complaining all day. I'm cold. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We're streamed everywhere you get your podcasts, and we are on the web at airedoutvt.com. Birthdays today, let's jump right in. Scott Weston is on the list, along with Tim Reynolds. If you know any of these people, have some fun with them. Give them a shout out on Facebook this morning. I'll post them up too. Sierra Massey, Britt Kelson. That's a pretty cool name. Britt Kelson. Jen Freeman, Zoe Jones, Nicole Bove, Connor Fowler, Patty Kelly, Sarah Tucker, Jesse Brault, and Bennett McFawn. We're going to give you the forecast here. Are you ready for this? Because here's the thing. It's chilly, but it's not. It's going to get better. Again, some towns, -6. Some towns, like mine, -13. Barely either side of zero for most towns this morning. A great day for an ice bath with muddy gnomes. But spring is coming. And so are the warmer temps and the rain. I don't know if you've heard, but the upward trend starts tomorrow, and by Wednesday, rain, possible flooding, ice jams, all that fun in the forecast by the middle of the week. Mid-20s today and mostly sunny. 13 tonight and mostly cloudy. Tomorrow, Tuesday, partly cloudy. Showers coming into the picture later in the day with highs around 40 degrees. I don't know. Is this a good forecast? Is this not so good? I don't know. Some of you are like, I don't give a damn about the ice jams. Bring on 40s. And by Wednesday, near 50 with rain showers. Sugar makers going to be very busy collecting sap. I'm not sure when the boil will begin, but I'm guessing that it will begin very soon. Tomorrow, first of all, before I forget, tomorrow, Barrie City, or Granite City, Blast Baseball is going to be in here, and I can't wait. They're coming back. They're going to be talking about Cooperstown. I'm not sure exactly which kids are going to be on the air, but it'll be 2. And there will be others. And I have supported these kids consistently for the past couple of months. And as I said to them last time, let's get you on in the dead of winter and give an update. Am I surprised that they have raised enough money, that our community here in Central Vermont has helped them raise and supported them enough to raise enough money to go to Cooperstown, which has got a huge price tag on it? I'm not surprised at all. Expect it, actually, and that's exactly what's happened. So congratulations to them, and we're going to be kind of recapping things a little bit with them and talking about some of their fundraising efforts and how successful they've been. And they have a lot of people to thank. And I look forward to giving them the microphones tomorrow to do just that. Also, don't forget, tomorrow is, and I know you haven't forgotten, tomorrow's town meeting day. I say don't forget to vote yes for Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice Town Funding. And here's why. Just last year alone, we are talking about almost 3,000 patients in the 23 towns of Central Vermont that Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice has served. And God, I hate that word, served, because it's really more like 3,000 patients that they have drastically changed their lives in a positive way. And not just the patient, but their entire families. We're talking about, just in the last year alone, over 50,000 visits, 28,000 home health, 9,000 hospice, 10,000 long-term care. Look at these numbers. This is amazing. 1,700 family child health visits, 450 palliative care consults. I hope you're catching this. This is absolutely beyond impressive. And I ask you to post a comment, a gesture of support, if you can, in some way, shape, or manner, to Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. These are wonderful people who work so incredibly hard. And frankly, I don't know how they do it. And I have said in the past, I couldn't do it for 5 minutes. I could not handle tough work like that. It's really staggering. And we're not talking about a team of people that's millions strong. We're talking about several hundred employees here in Central Vermont who are so committed, so devoted to this line of work and to caring for Vermonters. So here's why the town funding tomorrow, the town funding vote, is so important. Practically all of the money, most of the money that Central Vermont Home Health gets in the way of grants and fundraising is used to make up the difference for reimbursement from Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicaid. They do so much, but they need to bridge that gap of that other 20% to keep up with the same high level of care that they have been doing and have been committed to for over 110 years. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Without Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice, we're in a lot of trouble. Think about that tomorrow, town meeting day. Sponsors this morning, a shout out to GK Auto Detailing in East Barre. Just before the roundabout, whether you're getting ready for a car show, which we're going to be talking a lot about car shows in the coming weeks here, I can't help it. JD, it's still wintertime. I'm not ready to get my car out. It's going to be several months before I get my car. I know this. I know. I have a 76 that I'm just like, I can't stop thinking about it. As mental health for me, I will be talking a lot about car shows in the coming weeks. We got a lot of salt that's got to get washed off the roads before I even think about getting mine out. But if you want to get the winter grime cleaned off and out of your vehicle, if you are like so many who really enjoy a spotless vehicle, make it GK Auto Detailing in East Barre. Seriously. countless satisfied customers, one of our sponsors, and I'll be over there real soon with my rig, probably even getting a undercarriage, what do you call it? You know what I'm talking about. My God. To prevent any rusting, undercoating. That's what I'm talking about. GregKelly15@gmail.com. All new customers, by the way, 5% off if you mention Aired Out. So they're going to take good care of you over there. You're going to be driving in style. You're going to look good. And if you're driving in a clean vehicle, especially if you put some miles on during the winter, it doesn't matter what's happening outside. As long as what's happening inside is clean and fresh, it smells good, that's going to be good for you. Also, a shout out to BCK Real Estate right here on North Main Street. If you are even remotely thinking about buying, selling, maybe getting into some commercial property, maybe you're thinking about land, this is a busy time of year because spring's coming, and they know this over at BCK Real Estate. They know that people are like, to hell with this. I got to get out of this house. I got to look for a new house. I got to look for some land. I want to build. I want to do something. 86 North Main Street. Get your questions answered accurately and timely. John Biondelino and the rest of his team are right there. They're there every day, 479-3366. You can call them, ask them a question, or just hop in the car and head over there. I know that, Fannie and Freddie, I know they're saying that the new norm for 2025 is going to be hovering around what? 6.5%, something like that. Don't get freaked out by what's coming down the national pipe. Talk with John directly. He's dialed into what's going on locally right here in Central Vermont and our real estate market. NBA last night, Celtics got a win. I know the tensions were really high at Kreitzberg this weekend for the Lady Cadets. Missed that game. High school sports is on fire right now. Boys semifinals at the auditorium tonight, Williamstown and West Rutland, followed by Twinfield and Danville. Those are a couple of games that are just going to be electric. If you can get over there to the Aud, do it. Vermont State Wrestling Championships, speaking of the auditorium, those were this past weekend. Mount Anthony won. I think Spalding was third, but Mickey Karen is going to be coming on soon to talk up the Barrie Wrestling program and dig deep into the results, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I don't know what day. It could be tomorrow morning. But we'll see if we can sneak them on by phone. Yeah. Community calendar, we're going to take a dive on that too. 97th Academy Awards took place last night. And not to say that it lasted forever, but by the time it was over, Elon Musk had 6 more kids. I mean, this is really something else. I was going to ask this morning, I was going to make the Facebook question of the day, did you bother to watch the Oscars last night? But instead, I'm like, you already know the answer. And the last time that I talked about the Academy Awards on the air, last year, this time, I received a whole heap of shit from people saying, JD, why are you spending time talking about the Academy Awards? Nobody watches. Nobody cares who gets an Oscar and who doesn't. So I'm not going to ask you if you watched the Oscars. I'm going to just assume that you didn't. And now I'll get some shit from people who are huge fans of the Oscars saying, of course I watched the Oscars. Billy Joel, my understanding is that he's okay. I guess he took a little tumble, from what I gather. 75 years old, fell on stage during a show in Connecticut that I guess was a couple of days ago, maybe last week. A little bruised up. 75 years old. Now, if I was Billy's manager, no disrespect to Billy Joel, been a big fan my whole life, but if I was Billy's boss, I'd be like, Billy, just sit down at the piano. Don't be getting up and dancing around. Apparently, this all went down with, at the end of It's Still Rock and Roll to Me, lost his balance, twirling the microphone stand and tossing it. If you're 75 and you're tossing microphone stands around on stage like you're David Lee Roth, somebody who's helping you out in your management team should be telling you to stop. Shouldn't be doing that. You're playing the piano. You're not doing acrobatics, spinning stuff around like this, Billy. Sit down and play the piano. Oh, here comes the comments on the Academy Awards this morning. Okay. All right. What else is happening? Listen, I don't know what that whole shit show was about on Friday at the White House. But it was really intense, and I went back and watched it a few times. Who do you think is the and I ask you, Newt, who do you think was the winner in the grand scheme of things? Looking back in hindsight, was the winner Trump? Was it J.D. Vance, or was it Putin?
Yeah, so we're talking about the blow up in the Oval Office on Friday.
Yeah. What do you think?
Sorry, I just came in on the phone here. I think it was Putin. I think they were toasting things in Russia. And I mean, I tend to be fairly middle of the road on some of these things, but it looked to me as if J.D. Vance threw the first punch, and I just didn't think that he I didn't think that Zelensky really warranted the treatment that he got, and I don't think it looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he was a little warm too, but nowhere near J.D. Vance and Trump. I mean, I know the reporters loved it. I mean, if you were a camera operator working for a news agency, that would have probably been one of the highlights of your career.
Yeah, because that's never really happened like that before in the Oval Office. So
no.
like like you said, I think it is one of the highlights of their career, and unfortunately, and I think that it was probably staged that way to be that way. I mean, I think that Trump and Vance probably knew exactly what they were going to do.
I think so. I've seen a lot of comments about that. I've seen a lot of people say that it was staged, and I do wonder.
And it's too bad that it kind of played out the way it did, because it just doesn't look fair.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this big behemoth country that that could be doing a lot, and is doing a lot to help Ukraine, and has been doing a lot. But to be the bully in the room is not cool,
Yeah. I think no matter who you are and where you stand politically, I think that there's something to be said for, if you're going to be a leader, for being courageous, not being a coward, not being a pushover, but also exercising a certain level of class.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the whole shouting over each other thing was not good. It's just
How stunned were you when you watched this, and how many times did you watch it?
you know
I had to go back over and watch it a couple more times because I literally couldn't believe it.
well, the first time I heard about it was on the radio, and then I had to go back and watch it, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is really bad. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just so not the way anyone who is considered the most powerful person in the world should act.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's got Trump clearly has the cards, not to steal a line from the whole debacle, but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I know, we know you've got the cards, but be kind, be diplomatic. This is called diplomacy.
Diplomatic.
It's not about,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
You were
no,
saying?
that's the word. It's be diplomatic. I mean, you're gonna garner a lot more respect that way, I think.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. We've seen this for a long time that Trump likes Putin, and I think he's just kind of playing into Putin's playbook, and it's not good. It's not good for our country,
Yeah.
and it certainly doesn't look. It's the optics of it are just even worse. I mean, it's just so bad for all the reasons you and I just discussed.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the news this morning, but European leaders held an emergency summit in London to rally support for Ukraine. The British Prime Minister is speaking out, trying to wrestle control of some of the peace negotiations away from the United States. Saying if you can't do it, then we will, along with France.
Yeah. Yep. And they've got a lot to, they've got a little more skin in the game because there is not an ocean between them and Russia, So, it's.
Trump's going to be addressing a joint session of Congress tomorrow for the first time in his term. An opportunity for him to reassure voters about his leadership. A lot of people are referring to this exchange with Zelensky as catastrophic. Do you think?
Well,
and I listen. Both of you and I are far from political experts here, but do you think that some repair? Is this relationship salvageable? Can there be some repair here, do you think?
well, just my opinion as a lowly Vermonter. I think it is. I mean, I think what was that word that you just used?
To repair this relationship.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you said that catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
That was it. I don't think it's catastrophic. I think that it would be catastrophic had they not ended it saying, that it's not over yet, and that that I think that there's still a door open to revisiting this. I think Trump even said at the end of the meeting, "You come back and be more thankful or whatever." And I think Zelensky was thankful, but unfortunately, the whole thing went south before the thanks came out, and
right.
And I think that was by design, but so I don't think it's catastrophic, and I think that I think it's more of what we often see from Trump, which is he wants to make sure that everyone knows he's in charge, and he's made that very clear with this, but I don't think it means it's the end of negotiations over this. And I think that the U.S. will probably eventually, I think we'll get past this and have another meeting, and the U.S. will continue support.
Yeah.
But this is all part of that art of the deal. Putting himself in the big position,
Sure.
next to the littler guy.
Yeah.
Which, it looks really bad. It's a lot of bullying, and nobody likes that. You know.
It's sometimes when emotions get high, it's hard to remember that the world is watching and listening.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, I think they knew that with all those TV cameras on them, they knew.
Yeah.
They knew,
And lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And maybe you've already imagined this. Coming out of that meeting as J.D. Vance, you're hot under the collar, your blood pressure is pumping, you're red hot. Cameras are off. You pass through the door where you have your first little bit of privacy, and you say, "All right, kids, get in the car. We're going to Vermont to go skiing."
I know. It's it's almost hard to imagine going from that meeting at the Oval Office.
Yeah.
To get in the car, jump on a plane, be in Vermont by, I don't know, was here by like late Friday night, I imagine. Or was it Saturday morning?
It was Saturday.
It was Saturday morning. Yeah. It's hard to imagine. But I guess that's life when you are, a politician on the national stage, and you've got to be in 18 different places in 1 week.
Sure.
All over the country, if not, the globe. And, so that they're used to this. And there are people who are just looking at the clock and saying, okay, go here now, but it's got to be tough. Regardless of, like I said, I think he threw the first punch, and so I'm not a big fan of J.D. Vance, but if I could be considered a Republican, it would be an old school Vermont Republican. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I'm not a MAGA man.
Even if you are not a fan of J.D. Vance, would you have taken the time to make some signs and get in the car and head on up to Sugarbush and stand out in the cold and protest? For me personally, even if I'm not a fan of J.D. Vance, regardless of how I feel about him, I can think of a million damn things that I could use my time more wisely to do, especially on a Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sorry, the dog is all right. I think the dog needs to go out. We're just going to let him go out for a second here. And then I'll answer that question. I mean, I think I would not have. I mean, I'll preface this by saying, of course, one of the wonderful things about our country is that we live in a place where we have freedom of speech, and that enables people to protest as they would like. And so,
Yeah, great point.
Respect for that. But I think that, and here's what I think is the difference here. If this had been a political event, like a rally, I've shown up. I've protested in D.C. I've protested, and I've protested various things, but these were at political events, organized protests at political events. They were not, at events where someone is just taking their family on vacation in Vermont. He was not here in an official capacity. He was not here as Vice President of the United States. He was here as J.D. Vance, a civilian, not doing his job. He was just here taking his family on vacation with his wife and children. And I think as Vermonters, We should take the high road, as or well, actually, I think it was Michelle Obama who said that. Go high, like take the high road and let him have. I think it would have spoken way stronger words, you know, these would be way stronger actions to just take the high road and say, you know what, we're going to let him have his family vacation in Vermont and not say anything. If I had run into him on the street, and had the opportunity to say hi, I would have just said, hey, welcome to Vermont. I hope you have a great time here. And if anybody, and if he said anything about politics, I'd be like, you know what, I disagree with some of the stuff you do, but I hope you have a great time with your family here and welcome to Vermont. And I think, like I said, I think that would have spoken way stronger and way louder than, having, all these people show up with signs and stuff, which makes everybody feel good. But JD Vance already knows that 85% of this state went to Kamala Harris in the presidential election. It's no secret. So they're not saying anything that everybody doesn't already know anyway. But and I understand that there was a lot of immediate anger because of the mess in the Oval Office the day before. So again, people have the right to protest, and it was a hot topic, particularly that day. But still, I don't think I would have done that. Yeah. I think I would have, looked at myself as a Vermonter, and as a Vermonter, particularly one who's worked in the hospitality industry his whole life. I just couldn't. I couldn't treat a visitor to our state that way. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Vladimir Putin. I think as Vermonters, we need to be kind.
Well, it's respectful too, but I mean,
sure.
You have a great point that many of us want to exercise our right to speak out, to protest, to have a voice, to have an opinion. But there's always
a time and place.
Time and place. Always a time and place.
There's a time and place. Take it back to let's compare this to a local situation. Say you've got a local select board member. And the select board is discussing an issue that you're passionate about, and that one select board member is on an opposite side from you. When you see that local select board member in the grocery store, do you want to accost them right there with their wife and kids while they're shopping for their groceries? No, you go to the select board meeting and you bring it up, and that is the proper time and place. And I think that is the difference here. It really is. If this was a political rally or other campaign event or whatever, absolutely show up, protest, do your thing. But we've got to start drawing the line between politicians' personal lives and their job. We had a legislator in Lamoille County who she got elected and she quit after 2 weeks in office because there were threats to her family, and it's just not acceptable. It's not the way things should be, particularly here in Vermont. I like to think that we're a little more aware of some of this stuff because we don't have we don't have, really big cities anyway. To me, Burlington's a big city, but so we're a smaller state with smaller communities, and we tend to know our neighbors and know each other. And therefore, I think we're a little kinder and gentler than some places. I don't think anybody could argue with that. But I think part of that is that we really need to, draw the line between personal lives and professional lives, and try to be respectful of people's need to take a weekend in Vermont with their kids. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, Shirley just wrote, it doesn't speak well for Vermont.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying. It does not. And there's been I've been reading some of the comments on some of the Facebook posts on this, and there's a lot of people who agree with this, that it just, right or wrong, just because something is right. Yep. We have the right to do it. We have the right to free speech. Doesn't mean that the time and place is correct for that action.
Yeah,
You know?
you want um you want this individual to leave with a positive experience, a positive takeaway, even if not all of it's positive, but at least that they can speak well of their visit to your state
Exactly.
beyond it was cold and the skiing conditions were great. You want to
Yeah.
have maybe something a little bit beyond that kind of positivity.
Yeah, what I would have loved to have seen, instead of reading about what did happen, the big protests and all the signs and everything in the national media, on some national, I think it was the Guardian or something like that. Anyway, um, instead, I think, I would have loved to have seen, and I was saying to this on Friday, I was like, man, I hope Vermont does this right this weekend. And, I think it would have, like I said, and like a lot of people have said, it would have spoke volumes for us to, wouldn't it have been nice if JD Vance could say at the end of the weekend, hey, I went to Vermont and I know that 85% of the people are against me in Vermont, but they treated us with respect, and we had a fantastic time.
Right. They let
Yeah,
me they let me get out of the car and put my ski boots on and
yeah, exactly.
enjoy the mountain. Do you know anything about the actual skiing for what it was? Were they able to,
I don't.
did they close down the trails that they were on? Do you
No,
know?
I don't know, and I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't even looked into it, but I
Okay.
doubt they did. I don't think they usually do that. They could,
Yeah,
there's often celebrities that come to Vermont and go skiing,
sure.
and and I think that they do their best to just make sure. I mean, their Secret Service, I'm sure, is out there on the skis with them too.
Sure.
They're
Sure.
all like doing their thing, um, but I don't think the resorts do too much to close off the trails or anything. I think that it's they try to make it as normal a situation as possible.
Yeah.
But
This is going to be I think that this is and
you know,
I don't want to spend the whole week talking about this. I mean, obviously Monday morning, but I think this story is just going to continue to fuel its own fire, and I think it's going to pick up more momentum. And I think VPR and other outlets are going to be talking about this all week.
yeah, probably. And I, it's tough because I'm sure that there are plenty of people on, the far left that will be, super happy about all the press that they'll get for this, and great, but they're preaching to the choir. I mean, everybody already knows that Vermont is very far left with national politics. Um, not so much with local ones, especially outside
Right.
Chittenden County,
I
but
mean, even Phil Scott put something out
oh yeah.
ahead
Well, that's
ahead of
because
the
Phil
trip.
Scott's a classy guy,
Yeah,
you know.
saying just let the guy have his vacation time with his family.
Right. And
Yeah,
Phil Scott, is just, he's like a lot of us where like, he made it clear that he didn't vote for Donald Trump, but but like, but Phil Scott is a classy guy, and he said it right. He again, Phil Scott has taken the high road, and he said, just let him be here with his family. This is not a political event, and that is, I was so happy to see that. I found that last night when I was perusing the internet, and I felt like, again, we can be proud of our governor here. He's a good man.
I overheard some folks talking over the weekend, and one of the people just kept coming back with the same thing, which was, I know, whatever. It was a ski trip.
Right.
It was a ski trip. They were there on vacation. They were there for leisure. I know, but they just wanted to ski.
Right. And that's it. That's it. I mean, that is what this comes down to. That this was a personal excursion with his family. This was not an official business,
Yeah.
And,
there's so much,
of course
there's so much contentiousness here with so many people.
Yeah. And I get it. People are mad.
We've got to look beyond. We've got to look beyond stuff and just say it was a ski trip.
Yeah, that's it. I realize people are angry about a lot of these things that are going on. I mean, like, the whole Doge and Musk thing, and JD Vance is a polarizing character. There's a lot of national issues that people are rightly so very angry about and very fired up. But we have to step back. Like I said, we've got problems in this country, and I'm sure even in Vermont, where people are they get angry about schools, and they'll show up at school board meetings and treat people really badly, but worse yet, they will accost teachers when they see them out in the community, and it's just not appropriate. It's like, you don't do that,
You were raised by some seriously old school Vermonters. Your grandparents.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my grandparents were in their 70s and 80s when I was a kid. Fortunately, they lasted until I was about 15. But
would they have said to you? Would they have said to you, Newton, shut your mouth and either snap on your skis and get skiing, or get in your car and just give the man some privacy. Knock it off. This behavior is shit.
Absolutely. My grandma used that word, but yes, she I can imagine my grandmother saying, you know what? When someone's on vacation with their children, they're on personal time.
Right.
And there's a difference between political time and personal time.
But you still have a voice where you can get on your own social media platform. God bless the fact that we have that outlet and exercise your opinion there. But yeah, man.
Sure. I mean, there's so many ways these days to get your voice out. Like, trying to have you're not going to have any impact on JD Vance. By doing this.
Sure.
Aside from ruining his vacation. Well, I don't know if you'd say
did he leave?
Did he leave
early? Did he leave Vermont early?
I don't think so. I think I saw something. I haven't heavily researched the whole situation, but I think I saw something on CAX last night that his plane had pulled out of Burlington on Sunday evening, which was probably when it was supposed to. So that's probably fine. But they did have to change his lodging arrangements so they could put him in an undisclosed location out of a matter of safety concerns.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look good for a hospitality state at all. It just doesn't.
I wonder what the tourism department is saying here on this Monday morning as we get back to work. I wonder what they're saying.
I'd like to know too, but I haven't checked their website. So I don't know. But it's a tricky game. I mean, I know people are angry and they're fired up, and rightfully so, but I really think that we need to pull back on the angry rhetoric, and we need to separate the difference between personal time and professional time. And I firmly believe that. And I think that's what this is all about. I can't imagine, I can't imagine being rude to a local legislator when he's out in public going to the post office or something.
Yeah.
I just,
that's old school Vermont values right there.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, my great 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 grandfather was one of the first settlers of Bridgewater, Vermont, right? And like, and we go back a long way here, and like, but I got to tell you, like, I'm way more of an old Vermonter. You know how there's this debate between the new Vermont and the old Vermont. I remember reading this thing in 7 days back when Phil Scott was running the last time, and I forgot who the challenger was, but I think it was somebody from either like Middlebury or Chittenden County.
Yeah.
And they had this article about the new Vermont versus the old Vermont, and I'm way more old Vermont. I mean, that's the way I am. But and I'm not apologizing for it. But yeah, I think that we've got to just be kind to people. And I'm not saying you got to be kind to JD Vance when he's working or when he's doing a political event, or there's some online forum where you want to vent your frustrations and get your information and your message out. Great. But let the guy have a family vacation at Sugarbush, because that's what Vermont does. We welcome people and we provide them with a fine vacation experience. That's what we do. That is our primary product here, and I'm in the wedding industry, right? And we, even the wedding industry is part of the tourism industry. We wouldn't have people coming to Vermont in droves to get married, which we do have, if we didn't have the tourism industry. It's all part of the tourism industry. And it's just as much as skiing is.
Yeah. Well said.
And yeah. And all of this, is what enables us as a state to have an economy that allows us to keep our lands open. It keeps our farms going, people doing agritourism and stuff. And of course, it's not the silver bullet that solves all of our problems, but we've got issues. We got education funding we can't seem to tackle yet, but it is a fantastic industry that enables Vermont to be the beautiful place that it is, and it enables us as Vermonters to be here. And even if you don't work directly in the tourism industry, you are dramatically impacted by it. There's plenty of people in Chittenden County who work in tech and all this other stuff that's over there in Chittenden County that's less tourism driven. But, it doesn't take long before if you start to look at the impact of tourism, you can see maybe 1 or 2 degrees back that without tourism in Vermont, even Chittenden County would be a hurting unit.
Yeah. I want to ask you before, so well said, Newt. Want to ask you before we skip here, Trump is ordering the Commerce Department to probe international lumber markets. And I know that this is a topic that is probably raising your eyebrows, along with many others, that he is considering this 25% global tariff on lumber and wood imports, Canada being our neighbor.
Yeah, and Canada produces, I think, is it the majority or just like 40%? But still,
it's the majority.
It's a huge chunk. And that's what I thought.
And I have just, I have not, I have just learned this not long ago. I think it was Dave Horner that got on me about it, and he's like, "Yo, man, Canada's like, they're huge."
Yeah, and that's it's going to affect everybody who's you talk about everyone, period, because anyone who rents a house, rents an apartment, buying a house, building a house, lumber prices affect all of these things.
Well, this is and this is beyond, hey, we need a new deck. Our deck looks shitty. Let's put a new deck up. Aesthetically and functionally, it's something that we've wanted to do. There's a difference between that and, holy shit, our roof is leaking and we have repairs that need to be made, and the roof is much worse than we thought it is, and we need a lot of work done here with a lot of lumber.
And maybe it's been leaking and there's structural problems, so you're going to have to buy some lumber to put up some new 2x6s, and and get that thing solid, right? And here we are, 25% tariffs. And that's, it's not like Trump says that, businesses are going to pay these tariffs. Businesses aren't going to pay these tariffs. Sure, businesses will pay the increased cost of their lumber, and then they will increase the cost to the people that are buying the lumber. That's the way it is. Everybody knows this. I mean, Trump can say what he wants, but the vast majority of Americans are smart enough to figure out that, like, supply and demand is going to dictate that, like, if you need lumber, you're going to pay what the supply is asking for that lumber because you need the lumber. And we can't produce enough lumber to compete with Canada here. I mean, they've got massive forest reserves in Canada.
Yeah.
And even if we could, we don't have the infrastructure in place to do it. There aren't the sawmills and stuff, and there's regulations on all this stuff too. But it's going to be a problem. It really is. So, and not only in costs of things, but once the costs go up, you've got inflation again, and as inflation goes up, the only way the Fed can keep the inflation somewhat in check is by increasing interest rates again. And then everyone who's got debt, unless it's fixed, if it's fixed debt, fixed rate, mortgage or something, then they might be able to, get by with just keeping paying their mortgage, but they're not going to be able to go out and get a new mortgage at that same lower rate. And so then they're not going to want to sell their house. And, everything ends up being more expensive.
Yeah.
And it becomes costly, and anyone who's got debt that's variable rate, like credit cards or variable rate mortgage, or sometimes car loans are that way. It's just not going to be good because all that stuff goes up, and it makes it more expensive and really difficult for people who are on the edge financially.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Vermonters who are on the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of folks in Vermont who don't make huge money and have, lots of disposable income, and they don't worry about debt. There's plenty of Vermonters who are not in that boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, thanks for coming on, buddy. I know you, along with so many of us, are looking forward to warmer weather. We've got by midweek this week, we're talking near 50 degrees with rain, and now concerns of ice jams and flooding and holy crap. 13 below at my house this morning.
Yeah, it was cold last night.
So, yeah, we're going to snap here. I don't know if this is the January thaw a little bit late or what the deal is, but SAP's going to be running, and I know that you're looking forward to getting some of your antique cars out of the shed.
Oh, yeah. It's coming. Spring's coming.
There's hope.
There's hope. I mean, hey, we're in March now. We're the light is clearly glowing at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And it's tough because, like, March is often the snowiest month.
Sure.
But at least the temperatures start to come up during the day.
Yeah.
It gets cold at night. We get these crystal clear blue sky days like the one we have today.
Sure.
Where, all that, there's no clouds to keep the heat in. So, like, we just get freezing cold at night.
Yeah.
But during the day, things start to get nice out. It's when if you go skiing, you see someone, in a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And, by late March, especially, boy, it's, 45 degrees during the day, even if it's cold at night. And that's what makes the sap run.
That's right.
So
it's that angle of the sun. It's just a little bit higher in the sky, which not complaining about.
Makes a huge difference in the way we feel, I think. It's beautiful. I love this time of year because the light is there at the end of the tunnel, and by the end of March we'll start to feel like spring. And spring comes late in Vermont. It's funny, like where's the groundhog? Phil, right?
Punxsutawney Phil, yeah.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah,
Down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They come out in mid-February and they're like, oh, it's going to be, so much more winter. But like to them, spring is like at the end of February.
Sure.
But that's not necessarily the way it is here.
6 more weeks of winter. We get 10 more weeks of winter no matter what the groundhog says.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The thing should be shot.
Well, he's a cute little groundhog. He's just wrong.
Probably got rabies. Probably has rabies.
Yeah, maybe there's brainworm or something. Maybe that's why.
Listen, I hope that you're going to get out to a Vermont Mountaineers baseball game with me over at Recreation Field in Montpelier this summer. Brian Gallagher, the president of the team and CEO, was just on the air with me a few days ago, and we're just, Grapefruit League action is going on down south in Florida. I mean, we're just excited, and we got a lot of stuff to look forward to, man.
Yeah, man. Oh, there's so much to do in Vermont in the summer. It's wonderful, And, with spring coming, we got to hit some sugar houses. Are Limlaw's opening this year?
Yeah,
do you know?
As a matter of fact, I was just talking with Bryce Limlaw this morning.
Cool.
It's funny that you mentioned that. And, yeah, they're going to be collecting they're going to be collecting here by middle end of this week, but not yet boiling yet. They're still, they need to collect a little bit more before they boil.
Do you know if they're doing their weekend breakfasts that they at one time were doing?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out for damn sure, and I'll let you know.
Excellent.
All
Yeah,
right.
man. Like, I love sugar in season. It's such a great Vermont tradition. And getting out to those sugar houses and supporting them is fantastic.
We should mention to all of the folks down in Massachusetts and Connecticut and points south that if you would like us to mail you some sugar on snow, we will do that. We will do that. But it might be a little messy on your end when you receive it.
Yeah, that might be the problem. And therefore, you should come up here and get it fresh.
Right, exactly. Oh, beautiful right there. That was beautiful.
There you go.
Yeah, oh my
Perfect.
God.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the setup. Without the setup, it wouldn't have worked.
Listen, buddy, let's get you in here soon, okay?
Yeah, man. Let's do that very soon. And spring is coming. We got to get the cars and trucks out of the barns.
Yeah. I got a new carburetor for my 76. Maybe you could help me put that in.
I wondered. You said you bought a new carburetor, but I wasn't sure if it was for the truck or for the motorcycle. So for the truck.
It's for the truck. Yeah.
Wow. Well, good. Will it solve any problems? I assume.
Oh, very much so. Yes.
Good.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait, man. Thanks, Newty. Stay well, brother. All right.
Talk to you soon. See ya.
All right. Our community calendar this morning is brought to you by The World, Central Vermont's favorite weekly newspaper, which reaches over 22,000 people every week. And what's going to happen tomorrow? A fresh new copy of The World is going to be on newsstands everywhere. It'll be delivered right here to our studios on North Main Street, and I can't wait. Don't miss the digital version. It's vt-world.com as well. So, and I'll be checking in with Deb tomorrow morning. Let's see. Tomorrow being Tuesday, we got the Tuesday night dinner at the Barrie American Legion. Dine-in, takeout, it's just $12. It's at 5:30. They do ask you to call ahead, though, and get your name on the list, 479-9058. Bingo starts right after at 6 o'clock. The jackpot, I think it's $1,100. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know. But yeah, and I got to get Sam on the air as well. Sam Fisk is going to be joining me to talk more about what's going on over at the American Legion. But do keep an eye on the Barrie Post 10 Facebook page and the World newspaper for the menu every Tuesday night. Wellness Wednesday, this coming Wednesday from 4:30 until 7 o'clock upstairs at the WellSpace building on Summer Street right here in Barrie. If you'd like to book a massage or Reiki, 479-4055 is the number to call. Robin will answer. She'll get you on the books for a time that works best for you and them. Acupuncture and acupressure is always walk-in, and everything's free. Everything. They do this. Washington County Mental Health Services, they do this to give you, our community members, a little break, a little respite. You can keep your wallet at home. They understand the importance of mental health so much, and they don't want this to be a financial burden for you at all. You want to try sound healing, you want to get a chair massage, a table massage, whatever. Don't forget those spots do fill up quickly. Today's Monday. I'm giving you 2 days advance notice to get on the calendar. 479-4055. Call right now. Tell Robin that you're listening to me talk about this on the air here at Aired Out. And, yeah, and we'll see you there. It's going to be awesome. As always, Wellness Wednesday on Summer Street at the WellSpace building. Coming up Wednesday, also, I know today's only Monday. I'm giving you, again, plenty of advance notice here. Wing a Ding is going to be at the VFW Post 790 in Barrie. It's at 5 o'clock. Donna Thunder, you bet she's going to be playing. It's going to be amazing. Looking ahead to Thursday at the American Legion Post 10 right here in the Granite City. They have a all-veterans dinner. I think it's at 5:30. And I'm going to double-check that. But they always ask you to call the Post, 479-9058. To recap the weekend here, it was a fantastic weekend. Freezing Fun for Families, Winter Co-ed Softball Tournament, their 25th year. It was so much fun being up there with Lily. It was so much fun being up there with Logan Luce. We had a great time. Chris Cataret, Corey Touchette, Wendell Morse, Ethan Touchette, and his team. #1 fundraising team, by the way. They got the trophy, $14,000 just from that one team alone. And the grand total raised this year, $51,000 in 2 days. In 2 days. I don't say just Vermont. You should be very proud of yourselves for putting those numbers together and for getting out there and freezing your ass off in the snow, all to help 6 little kids fighting pediatric cancer. I say to all of the states that represented Freezing Fun for Families, thank you for being there. We had teams from Massachusetts, from New York, from Maine, from New Hampshire, all showing up and doing all they could to help these 6 little kids right here in the North Country. $51,000 in a matter of 2 days. And we had a lot of fun doing it. Kicking cancer's ass for 25 years. It's remarkable. I'm so far beyond impressed by that. Thanks, everybody. Listen, if you have time today, support our presenting and supporting sponsors in any way that you can, whether it's getting in the car and getting over, whether it's shooting them an email, giving them a call, stopping in their business in whatever way that you can. Support our sponsors here at Aired Out who support me, bringing you entertainment and information every morning, Monday through Friday, live on the air right here from Main Street in Barrie. We love them. We appreciate them. And appreciate you watching, listening, sharing, liking, following. We're always live. We're never edited. We're 100% organic. We're real, raw. We're relevant. And yes, we are relatable above all things here at Aired Out.